What's up guys, my name is Ace, and in Black Ops Cold War we got our pre-Season 3 update, and with this we see a bunch of weapon balancing as well as the addition of a new score streak. So in today's video I'm going to go over all of the details of this weapon balancing and show you guys before and after when possible and when appropriate. And let's just dive right into it and start it off with the LMGs. The first LMG that got nerfed is the Stoner, and this one got nerfed in a lot of different ways. The first thing they did to it is they reduced the maximum damage from 42 down to 38. And this doesn't change the number of shots that kill to the body, it's still going to be a 4-shot kill. However, in order to get a 3-shot kill now, you have to hit all 3 bullets to the head, whereas pre-patch you could mix 1 body shot in with 2 headshots in order to get a 3-shot kill. So that just slightly reduces the effectiveness of the Stoner. But on top of that, they reduced its maximum damage range from 38 all the way down to 21, which is very, very low. That's actually lower than most of the assault rifles in the game now. Additionally, they changed the recoil up a little bit. As you can see here, they added some more vertical recoil. It's still going to have the same amount of horizontal deflection, and honestly, this is still easy to compensate for and adjust for. You're just going to have to work a little bit harder than you had to before at controlling the recoil. Another thing they did is they reduced its aim down sight speed from 625 milliseconds down to 633 milliseconds, which is hardly a noticeable change at all. That's less than a frame of a difference. So realistically speaking, the aim down sight time is essentially the same as before. And then for all of the LMGs, with the match grade barrel, previously it would give you a 100% range boost. Now it gives you a 50% range boost. And also for all of the LMGs, they reduced the range penalty of the division barrel from 25% down to 12% for the Stoner and 15% for the RPD and the M60. So overall, the Stoner definitely caught some nerfs here, and it's going to be a little bit worse than before, but I would say it looks worse on paper than it actually is. Still going to take the same number of shots to kill to the body. As long as you're using the task force barrel, you still get a great range potential. The aim down sight time change was basically irrelevant, and when it comes to recoil, it's just going to take a bit more effort to control it, but you can still be very accurate with the Stoner. So based on this, I think the Stoner is still going to be a very viable choice in the LMG category, just maybe not quite as dominant as it was before the patch. As for the next LMG, this is the RPD, they increased its maximum damage from 38 to 42, so they essentially just swapped the maximum damage profile with the Stoner. So now you can get a 3-shot kill if you land 1 shot to the body and 2 to the head, whereas before you had to hit all 3 to the head like you have to do now with the Stoner. Additionally, they reduced the maximum damage range from 50 meters down to 20 meters, so a massive nerf here. Again, as long as you're using the task force barrel, you're still going to get a great boost to your damage range, so you pretty much have to rely on barrel attachments now for the LMGs. And another thing they did to the RPD, this one was pretty big, they reduced its standard ammo capacity from 75 rounds down to 50 rounds. This same trend also applies to the magazine attachment, so previously we would have a 100-round magazine for our first magazine attachment. Now that's been reduced down to 75 rounds, so in order to get the previous base magazine capacity, you have to use a magazine attachment. But finally for LMGs, moving on to the M60, they also reduced its maximum damage range from 76 meters down to 20.4 meters. This was a massive nerf to range, and again, you can still use the task force barrel and double your range, but now you're only going to get about a 40-meter range, whereas before you could get a 150-meter range with the M60. Additionally, with the M60, they slowed down the aim down sight speed from 600 milliseconds all the way down to 683 milliseconds, and this is a very noticeable nerf, unlike the nerf to the Stoner's aim down sight time. So yeah, those are the nerfs to the LMGs. Still no adjustment to hipfire. We still have SMG level hipfire spread, but now they've really harmed the effectiveness of these LMGs at range, and they've really increased the reliance on that task force barrel. You really want to get that unlocked for all of your LMGs, because it's going to be basically necessary to make up for their terrible range potential now. Moving on, let's get into the shotguns. There were a bunch of changes to shotguns, and the first set of changes I'll cover here are just the range adjustments for all of the shotguns. Keeping in mind this is with no attachments equipped. With the FFAR 77, they actually slightly buffed its 1-shot kill potential, which is nice. Then with the Gallo 12, they significantly buffed its 2-shot kill potential. Previously, it was 6.1 meters. Now it's 10 meters for our 2-shot kill potential if we're hitting all our pellets, which is awesome for the Gallo 12. And then for the Street Sweeper, they slightly reduced its 2-shot kill range. It wasn't a very large reduction by any means. It's only by about a meter or so. As for the Task Force barrel, this is the one that boosts our damage, and therefore it's very significant when it comes to the shotguns. When looking at the FFAR 77, it seems like our 1-shot kill range is exactly the same as pre-patch, so nothing really changed here with the Task Force barrel. Then with the Gallo 12, same story here with our 1-shot kill range. It doesn't appear that that changed at all. However, our 2-shot kill range is slightly better, although it is worth noticing, it's quite interesting. Our standard 2-shot kill range is actually better without the Task Force barrel than with the Task Force barrel, but I'd still say the Task Force barrel is worth it because it does give you a 1-shot kill potential that you wouldn't have otherwise. But then finally, the biggest change here, and probably the change I'm happiest to see with this update, the Street Sweeper's Task Force barrel was basically destroyed. You no longer have a 9-meter 1-shot kill potential. In fact, you no longer have a 1-shot kill potential with the Street Sweeper. Now it's going to take you at least 2 shots to kill, even at point blank range. So overall, when it comes to the shotgun adjustments, I'm very happy, mainly for that Street Sweeper with the Task Force barrel nerf. Now, let's move on to assault rifles, and the first assault rifle that was kind of changed is the FFAR. Now, the base gun was actually untouched. None of the base stats without attachments were changed at all for the FFAR, unfortunately. But let's just go through the attachments that changed. First up, with the Task Force barrel, they reduced the recoil penalties by about 10%. So you should have a little bit less recoil now if you are using the Task Force barrel. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a pre-patch wall test to compare this to using the Task Force barrel specifically. So I guess we're just going to have to trust the patch notes on that one. Additionally, for the first and third magazine attachment, they used to be 34-round mags, now they are 38-round mags, so that slightly improves the effectiveness there. Additionally, with the standard 34-round mag, our reload speed penalty was 10%, and now it's 5%. And with the 34-round speed mag, which is now the 38-round speed mag, they reduced the aim down sight penalty from 20% down to 10%. Overall, with the FFAR, I don't think this was nearly enough. This barely changes the gun at all. It's not really going to make it any more effective on average. So yeah, kind of a laughable change when it comes to the FFAR. Now let's move on to the Krig 6. With this one, what they did is they increased the headshot multiplier from 1.25 up to 1.4, but alongside that, they also reduced the maximum damage from 35 down to 33. So this maximum damage change doesn't affect our body shots to kill. It's still going to be a 5-shot kill, just like it was pre-patch. And oddly enough, even with that headshot multiplier buff, when you also combine that with the max damage nerf, it's still going to take 2 shots to the head and 2 shots to the body to get a 4-shot kill, just like it did pre-patch. So while they did mix some of these values around a little bit, overall, the effectiveness of the Krig is exactly the same post-patch as it was pre-patch. These changes are completely negligible. Now, another thing they did for some of the assault rifle barrels, the Ultralight, Contour M2, and CMV mil-spec barrels, what they did here is they just added an aim down sight movement speed bonus. So it might make those barrels a little bit more attractive, but overall, you're probably still better off going with barrels that help with range and bullet velocity rather than getting this aim down sight movement speed. But after that, let's move into the tactical rifle category, and they really nerfed the AUG quite hard with this update. The first thing they did is they reduced its maximum damage range from 30.48 meters down to 19.05 meters, which is now a lower range than the M16. On top of this, they increased the burst delay from 216 milliseconds up to 233 milliseconds, so it's not quite as forgiving as before. This isn't a massive change by any means, but it is noticeable. You can feel that that burst delay takes a little longer than it did pre-patch. On top of this, they increased our maximum damage from 51 to 52, which has no impact on the effectiveness of this gun, and they also increased the headshot multiplier from 1.25 up to 1.4. Which again, doesn't change the effectiveness of this gun. Pre-patch, this gun was a 3-shot kill to the body or a 3-shot kill to the head, and post-patch, this gun is a 3-shot kill to the body or a 3-shot kill to the head. So nothing really changed here when it comes to them adjusting those damage profiles. Until we factor in the Task Force barrel. Now, what they did to the Task Force barrel is they reduced the range bonus from 50% down to 40% on the AUG, and they also reduced the damage bonus from 15% down to 12%. But when we look at the Task Force barrel now, combined with the changes to the headshot multiplier and the maximum damage, you can now get a 2-shot kill to the head using the Task Force barrel on the AUG, whereas pre-patch it was still a 3-shot kill even if all bullets hit the head. So definitely some strange changes to the AUG when it comes to damage. Overall, though, it's still going to be pretty much the same gun damage-wise. It's mainly the range and the burst delay that are going to be a noticeable nerf to this gun. But finally, for the weapon balancing in this update, for all of the SMGs, they reduced the sprint speed. And this was approximately a 2% reduction based on my testing, which isn't super significant, but it is noticeable. You can tell that you're moving slightly slower with an SMG getting around the map. And one thing that's really interesting to point out now is with assault rifles, if you're using the speed grip, you will now move faster than you'll move with an SMG, even if you're using that SMG with a speed grip as well. So your sprint movement speed potential is now better with assault rifles than it is with SMGs, which I don't agree with at all. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I really think they're going to need to reevaluate this change and either make some adjustment to the sprint movement speed attachments or possibly just revert this change. Because as it is right now, you're now going to be more mobile with an assault rifle, and then you get all the other benefits of an assault rifle as well. The SMGs are starting to lose their benefits here. But with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's video on all of the weapon balancing that happened with the Preseason 3 update. One other thing I wanted to mention is they did basically destroy the slide canceling technique. I don't know exactly what they did here, but if you try and slide cancel now, it's just not nearly as effective as it used to be. So I just thought I'd bring a little bit of attention to that. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Overall, I do think most of these changes were steps in the right direction, although a lot of them just didn't really make much sense to me at all. That's my opinion on it, though. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What did you guys think of this weapon balancing update for Season 3? Are you generally happy with the updates? Or were there any weapon changes that you really didn't like with this update? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.